Coming up next, we lost a legendary singer-songwriter a while back, and it didn't make the news. It was extremely frustrating because he wrote some of the biggest hits of the 70s and the 80s, even into the 90s. He truly deserved better. I was so grateful that I got a chance to interview him. In fact, it was the last in-depth interview that he ever did. It was such an honor. Well, coming up next, we have that interview. And he tells us the story behind one of the greatest hits of the early 80s, a #1 smash for a band that was about to destroy each other. Today's classic song came out of a jam session with this legendary band, and they knew they had a smash hit, but they could not figure out the chorus. Later on, one of these lead singers from the band, he happened to be on the phone with a famous buddy who gave him the exact line that he needed to finish the chorus right then and there. The music of the song, that came from a strange use of an instrument, and it sounded like a brawl. And that was appropriate because this band would get in a brawl soon enough that would nuke the band for good. Coming up, I'm hoping to get through this one without a certain band member taking this down. But let's see how we do. Coming up next with a legendary singer-songwriter, I'm Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. If you remember racing VHS rentals back to the store so you wouldn't get charged a late fee back in the day, you're going to dig this channel. A pure musical nostalgia. Make sure that you subscribe below right now and click the bell, the notification button, so you always know when our new ones are dropping, our interviews, our videos. On September 17, 2024, we lost legendary singer-songwriter and Songwriter Hall of Famer J.D. Souther. His death was virtually ignored in the press, even though he wrote or co-wrote some of the biggest songs of the rock era. They combined have sold more than 120 million albums worldwide, including Best of My Love, New Kid in Town, James Dean, and today's focus song, Heartache Tonight, all for the Eagles. And then he wrote Her Town 2 with James Taylor, and The Heart of the Matter with Don Henley and Mike Campbell. And he had his own big hit with You're Only Lonely. So let's get into the story of Heartache Tonight.
There's gonna be a heartache tonight, a heartache tonight.
You're going to love this story. It's a perfect fit for our Revelation show, where artists go deep on their greatest songs and albums. So today, we're going to head back to the end of the 70s. Eagles had just dominated radio for most of the decade. They were coming off one of the biggest selling albums ever and one of the biggest title tracks, Hotel California.
Welcome to the Hotel California.
They were so big, some were calling them the American Beatles. But the band, they were starting to come apart at the seams. Tempers were flaring, members were leaving or getting ousted. Of course, Bernie Leadon was gone much earlier in 1975, and then Randy Meisner was gone by the time they started up Sessions for the Long Run, which would be the Eagles' 6th studio album, actually their final studio album for many years. It was released in 1979 on Asylum. They had brought in former Poco singer Timothy B. Schmidt to replace Meisner, also a phenomenal bassist. It was also the final studio record for guitarist Don Felder, who would be officially terminated decades later in 2001. This was a tough album to make. It took forever. Even one member jokingly said it should have been called The Long One. 3 big singles were released from the record, including the title track, I Can't Tell You Why.
I can't tell you why.
Both of these went to number 8. And then today's song, Heartache Tonight, which went to the top of the charts and actually won a Grammy.
Take a little chance, make it come out right.
The album, it would also hit number 1, and it would sell 8 million copies. Now, it wasn't as acclaimed as its predecessor, but, how do you top Hotel California? They get close. It's a great record. They also ended up recording 2 Christmas songs during these sessions, Funky New Year and the classic Please Come Home for Christmas. That one would chart at number 18, and always a classic we listen to every year.
Please come home for Christmas.
So all this tension that you'll hear in Heartache Tonight when you listen to it, it all came to a head on July 31st, 1980 in Long Beach, California. It's where the band almost killed each other on stage. In what has been famously called Long Night at Wrong Beach, the frustration between Felder and Fry came to a head. This is before the show started. When Fry's guest, Alan Cranston, a California senator, was backstage with his wife, the band did a benefit for his re-election, and the senator's wife was thanking them, thanking the band for this. This is when Don Felder said, "You're welcome, I guess." From that point on, Glenn Frey and Don Felder spent the entire show telling each other about the beating each planned to give each other after the show. Glenn Frey would say, and I quote, "Only 3 more songs until I kick your ass." Felder has said that he remembered Frey telling him during Best of My Love, "I'm going to kick your ass when we get off the stage." Oh, these stories are so great. Well, to say the least, they had to be separated before they killed each other after the show. And that was pretty much the end of the Eagles for a long time, a long run. One even said they'd only get together when hell freezes over, and then later they named their album that. Very cool. That's another story for another day, though, and we will definitely tell it. But let's get into the interview. Heartache Tonight, it kind of sounds like the mood the Eagles were in at the time. Sounds like a barroom brawl. Such a cool song. And J.D. Souther and Glenn Frey, they knew they had something special, but they needed to perfect the chorus. So after trying to knock it out and coming up a little bit short, Glenn Frey called a buddy of his, another legend of American rock, and he sung what they had over the phone to this legend. Seconds later, this guy sang back the perfect chorus. Coming up next, JD, he's going to tell you what legend that was and why he never recorded his own version. Fans begged him to, but he never did. Heartache Tonight. This was a pivotal song for the band because this was their follow-up to, obviously, the epic Hotel California. And, Long Run took every ounce of energy, reportedly, and creativity from the guys to get it finished. They joked about calling it the long one to the recording team.
Yeah, it was a long one.
Well, Heartache Tonight, such a classic. Another collaboration with Don and Glenn, but also involved teaming up with the great Bob Seger.
Last minute. We didn't think we had the chorus just right. And, Glenn Frey and Bob Seger were old buddies. In fact, Glenn is the harmony singer on Rambling Gambler Man. We just didn't think it was finished. The verses were really tight. Glenn and I had started them just walking around my house, snapping our fingers, clapping our hands. And then Henley got down on it, cleaned him up a little. Song got stronger. And then we still just didn't think we had the chorus perfectly. I don't know exactly what happened in what order then, but I know Glenn was talking on the phone to Bob, and he said, "Hey, we got this song we can't seem to finish." And he sang it to Bob, and Bob sang him the chorus. He went, "Oh, okay." That was the chorus.
You've wrote that first verse after listening to a Sam Cooke song.
We had been listening to Sam Cooke songs all day. I didn't realize that most of them were like that good. Having a party. Everybody's feeling great. It's all meet me at Mary's. Twisting, twisting, twisting the night away. Everybody's feeling great. They're twisting like even the first one's only 16, with eyes that would glow. A lot of shuffles. And we just thought, man, it's so hard. How come white guys can't play shuffles with it? Damn. He was only 16, only 16. Let's do one, And we start snapping our hands. Somebody's gonna hurt someone. Somebody's gonna hurt someone. They had a shuffle, and didn't think the chorus was just quite locked enough to be the best that it could be. And then really Bob did very little except just rearrange some ideas, but he just threw them back exactly perfectly. In fact, to my understanding, we can't ask Glenn now, but I think Glenn said he just sang the chorus to him, just like, this is the way it goes. Glenn called Don called me and said, "Hey, we got a fourth writer." And I said, "Well, that's splitting the money a lot of ways. Better be good." And Don said, "Yeah, it's Bob. It's good." No, okay, let's hear it. And that's something else that I think I heard him work on, but I didn't never heard that finished until it was on the radio. Somebody's gonna come undone. There's nothing we can. Glenn just was singing it over to Bob Seger over the phone. Over the phone. That's what's so cool. Again, these things don't happen as much with him. He's talking to Bob Seger. He sings it over, and Bob sings it back over the phone. And like you said, it was something you guys already had, but he just sang it in a different way.
and it kind of went, oh, there it is.
I don't know what we had to start, frankly. Obviously, it had the words Heartache Tonight in it, but I can't even remember how it went because Bob's version of it was so good. It's just, we forgot. You know, it's the way when you're working along, you're chipping away at a sculpture, and the idea is to chip away everything that's not necessary.
Well, talking about that clapping with that percussive sound, I had read that maybe an Andrew Gold song was maybe a little bit of an inspiration there too.
We all influenced each other all the time because it was the same 10 or 12 musicians who were mostly in the studio all the time together.
How does the conversation go? I'm just curious of leading into a decision to add hand claps to a recording.
Nothing. There's nothing to it. It's this. You want to try some hand claps? Okay. And it's either no, they're not working, or yeah, I think it's going to work. Let's tighten them up. Let's double it. Yeah. It's that simple a thing. You know?
Everybody wants to touch somebody.
And since it's how the song started, it really wasn't a big stretch. It just, and that fabulous bass drum sound, that boom, 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 boom.
Everybody wants to take a little chance.
You know what they did? They went and got a big marching drum because they couldn't figure out how to make the regular kit bass drum sound loud enough. So they got a big marching drum for college or something. Boom, 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 boom. And I hated it at first because I like drums that really ring. I'm like a jazz kid, you know. I want drums to be touched lightly and ring, and I couldn't stand it. And then I heard it on the. I did hear it before it was on the radio. Yeah, somebody played it at my house. Maybe Don came over and played it for me. And I thought, well, it's great, but man, that is the deadest drum sound. It just sounds like boxes. And then I heard it on the radio, and it sounded like a locomotive. It was so huge. So they were right, you know.
Well, and I'll bet you that they thought that about how are people going to hear this over the radio.
Oh yeah, it was deliberate. They wanted, if the only instruments are going to be boom, bah, boom, boom, bah, boom, you make it as big as you can. And it did. It sounded louder than anything else on the radio at the time, which is what.
Everybody wants to touch somebody.
That's the way that Motown, that Lamont Dozier and a lot of those guys did things. You know, they played to the radio. They knew that that's how millions of people would be hearing their records. He was telling me that they actually put a signal out in a car from Hitsville, and when they get a song done, they would transmit it to the radio to see how it would sound coming out of the car speakers.
Of course. We were still doing that when we were making Henley's solo records. We had a little broadcast rig set up at A&M, which is now Henson Recorders, named after Jim Henson. But it was A&M then, and we would go sit in the car and call Shelly Atkinson. Okay, broadcast it. Play. Okay, take 2 dBs off the bottom at 200. Let's hear it again.
So cool.
And you do it until it was filling the radio as much as it possibly could fill the radio.
This night is gonna last forever.
What I love what they did with Heartache Tonight too is it really had such a, like you say, that drum sound. Now that makes sense, but also not only the hand claps and the way they sing it, but it really sounds like there's going to be a brawl. I mean, they just have this feeling that they put there, and Eagles did that better than anybody. Glenn and Don, they really knew how to put you in that moment. You were part of the story. I know that's why their music will last another 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years, because people can relate. They're in the middle of the song. It did carry a lot of tension, didn't it, all the way through the song? It did. I mean, they were going through that tension at that moment in the band with everything kind of coming down because the breakup happened soon after. But
also, musically, it goes back to that, too. After the solo in the second chorus, it goes back to... tense again. Now, what's happened? Huh? And then all four. Somebody's going... It's manufactured tension, but it's real once it's manufactured. Once it's there, it's there. You know?
Somebody's gonna hurt someone. Somebody for the night.
Well, there have been a lot of covers of it too, and Conway Twitty did it. Michael Bublé.
Somebody's gonna hurt someone before the night.
I love Bublé's record. It's exactly what I always wanted, a big band version of it.
I thought it was so interesting how he did that.
Everybody wants to take a chance. They can come.
I do too. I wish he'd do something else of mine. I'm thinking of writing a couple of things just for him. I love that. That's my era of music, really, more than the music that I heard when I was a teenager. You know, Linda Ronstadt used to say she thought that the music that you heard before you were 10 or 12 years old made the most lasting impression. I think she's right. That's what I heard was Sinatra, and some opera and a lot of jazz. And then gradually a little bit of country music, but not really until I met Linda, who seemed to know everything about country music.
I just read an article a couple of weeks ago about that very thing. It says that the music that you hear before 12 to 13 years of age, all of that is what will inspire your listening. And
I'm sure it's true.
Well, Conway Twitty, Tom Jones, John Anderson.
Tom Jones did it?
Yeah.
You kidding?
No.
Oh, man, I got to find that.
Some people like to stay out late. Some folks can't hold out that long.
I am despite how silly he appears at times, I am a Tom Jones fan.
Oh, I am too.
It's not unusual to find out I'm in love with you. Oh, oh.
That guy has got a big, booming, amazing voice.
Yeah, one of the great, I agree, one of the great singers. But Richard Marx, he was definitely influenced it with his number one rock hit, Don't Mean Nothing. But fans have wanted Bob Seger to record it. And what he has said, I love what he said. He said, it's a hard freaking song to sing. Very difficult.
Well, if you saw the Eagles, what did they get inducted? Lincoln Center, Kennedy Center or something? And Bob sang it.
Somebody's gonna hurt someone.
It's hard to sing. I can't sing. None of us can sing it in the original key that Glenn sang it. It's just got some notes that are screechers.
Well, and then Bob, of course, Bob played it at Glenn's memorial service. That was cool.
I know. I sang hard on New Kid in Town. It's hard to get through. You know, we all just decided going in that we knew Henley was going to make the big 2-hour speech. So the rest of us just keep it light. Glenn wouldn't want us all moping around here, you know. So we set up and thought the smartest thing to do in honor of our buddy Glennie was to do an Eagles set.
Hey, leave us a comment about the Eagles and their final record, The Long Run and Heartache Tonight. What are your memories? What do you think about the 3 singles from this one? So many other great tracks on this. What about J.D. Souther, one of the greatest ever, just a prolific writer. Got to check out his last couple solo albums. They're really great. I'm going to link to them below.
Something in the dark.
What are your memories of Heartache Tonight? Such a classic. Let's discuss it in the comments. If you like our content, we just invite you to be a part of our regular supply here. Every day we come at you. Just click on the subscribe button below. And you know what? Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. We'll talk to you very soon.